Welcome back to the Take It or Leave It podcast. I'm Giovanna.
And I'm Samantha.
And today we're going to be discussing a debate about whether we think influencers should or shouldn't make the amount of money that they do. So I think they should be making the amount of money they do. And then, Sam?
We're kicking it up a notch, and I absolutely disagree because I think this whole influencer culture is terrible, and I think it's so harmful. So, Giovanna, let's get into it.
Here's my thing. This is, not even, facts, anything, but if we were put in their shoes and had the opportunity to, we just made a TikTok video, it blew up, we got 1 million followers, you can't tell me you wouldn't take it and run with it.
That's true. But I also feel like coming from somebody who's trying to make a living doing music and having that extra social media component, it just grinds my gears when these influencers come on and they do ridiculous shit on TikTok, get so many views, get paid for doing absolutely nothing. I understand if the chance was in front of you, but also then they get all this other clout and all this other press for doing absolutely nothing. And it makes me so mad because you see these smaller creators on TikTok and Instagram who are just grinding and putting up their videos and singing in their room and trying to record and do all these promotional videos, and they get absolutely no recognition for it. I mean, there's a select few that have gotten famous off of TikTok, musician wise. But I think other than that, so many people just did dumb stuff on TikTok and blew up, and now they have all these brand deals and have the money pouring in. It just makes me so mad.
Well, I think with influencers, don't get me wrong, when I see, obviously, I don't know how much they're making, but knowing that they do make a good amount and then they still get so much PR and, brand trips, Tarte, for example, and stuff like that, I'm okay, they don't need that because they have the money to do it. But, I feel I was taking this as, should they be getting paid for the work that they do, do? And I saw an interview with Braxton Berrios, it's Alex Earl's boyfriend, and they were asking him if he could if he saw himself ever with an influencer like that, or whatever his situation is. And he was basically saying how he never really saw it, but he sees the hard work that she does put into the influencing thing. And I think Alex Earl comes from a really business family. Her dad owns his own construction business, and that's their manager. So I think for her, she took the platform she was given, and however it got viral with the video of her and Xandra, I think the DJ's name is, that went viral, and she ran with it. And now she's actually putting in the work to her platform. And I think some people, I think Alex Earl, she be annoying, but the way she's famous and stuff and how some people look at her, yeah, she could come off as annoying and she's making money for no reason. But I also think she puts good into her platform too. She recently fostered a puppy, and it got adopted, and that wins everyone over when someone's with puppies. And she does this thing, Meals for Heels, and she gives out meals to people in need, the homeless and stuff like that, and a bunch of people come together to help her. But basically, Braxton was saying how he sees the creative part of it, and how you have to think of the idea, then you have to run it by your team of whatever TikTok you're gonna make, and then you do it, and then the editing and getting ready to do it. Even the influencer Michaela Noguera, who's worked at Ulta, she does makeup and all that, she's always saying how it's she works a 9 to 5 day, basically, wakes up, does her makeup, records a TikTok, edits it, then does the whole cycle again for a different look or something like that. And I'm not saying they deserve all the PR, all the brand trips and stuff like that, because I'm you have the money, you don't need them sponsoring you, you have the money. But from the creative and business aspect of it, I feel the work they are putting into it, they do deserve something. And I said, they didn't ask to this wasn't their dream job. They just made a video and they blew up, and that was out of their control. And if that was me, I'd do the same thing. I always say my dream is to be an influencer, but then I also say if I was an influencer, I'd probably get canceled. So I don't.
And that's what this podcast is for.
I don't know if that would be the best job for me. I just think with the work they put in, they do deserve some sort of money that they're getting. And then I saw this article that a guy, Danny Brown, wrote, and he was saying how time is money. They have the idea, they have to research, they need the content, they need to format, they need relevant topics, things are always trending, they need like things to come in and out, like the media part of it, the proofreading, the watching it to make sure it's like edited, like all that kind of stuff, and then like the team behind them. So I do think they put a lot of time and effort into something.
Right. I'm not saying they don't put in the work. I just think the whole kind of trend of being an influencer is getting really out of hand because now all of these companies are distributing money to these influencers and there's just so many of them. Before they were influencers, you had different marketing techniques. So where have those marketing techniques gone? Like I know you see everybody like, oh, go to my TikTok shop, go to my Amazon shop, shop my storefront, this, that, whatever, which is great. And they're there to sell a product, but it's almost like how much do they really know about the product? Because I know tons of people who buy products that they see, even back when like James Charles was popular, or Jeffree Star, those were makeup influencers and they'd buy a product and they'd be like, you know, this product's actually shit. Like this person sold me this and it's probably not a cheap product knowing what these influencers make. And like you said, the position that they're in to receive these expensive packages, they're influencing these young girls from ages probably 13 to 17 or even like sports influencers who are influencing young men ages 13 to 17, that time where it's really formative and they're on social media to buy this super expensive product. Not to say that back in the day when we were flipping through magazines, we were like, oh my God, I need that American Girl doll. I need that Disney princess dress. Like, it just goes to show the fads that come with influencers. And I'm sure they do put in the work, but they also have teams of people doing that. You compare that to a musician who's sitting in their college dorm room trying to make videos and doing it all themselves, who's barely getting the recognition, and they see somebody like Alex Earl or Dixie and Charlie D'Amelio who all of a sudden have music careers out of being an influencer. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's just not feasible. It's almost like they're trying to force a product. And we have a list here of Charlie D'Amelio, Dixie D'Amelio, all these different people who had music careers after they were an influencer. And I feel like why are we pushing that? If you're going to be an influencer and that's what you chose to do, it's almost like pick one or the other because it's such a flash in the pan. I don't see Dixie and Charlie D'Amelio making music anymore. It's very telling of the social media industry as well as the music and film industry because I know some of these people get spots in Broadway shows and Netflix series and all of this stuff, and it's almost like, what are their intentions? Are they just in it to make a quick buck? Because these people are so young that you're teaching other young people, young girls and boys, that this is what they need to do to make a quick dollar. I can't even tell you how many ads I see that say like, oh, make $30 an hour from home, make this from home. And I just think it's very harmful. So that's where I'm coming from with that.
With the music part of it, I feel like these influencers, they shouldn't be doing music. I mean, don't get me wrong, some might be an influencer and then come to find out they just have like a talent and they can sing. But like Dixie and Charlie D'Amelio, they shouldn't be doing music. But even without that, they would still be making a lot of money. If she never released a song and it didn't stream or like whatever, they would still be making a bunch of money. And back to what you were saying about like selling a product and then the product being bad, I think that's where you have to kind of find like more authentic influencers, which is kind of like what I was saying about Alex Earl. She's reviewed products that have like, were supposed to be paid sponsorships, and then she didn't do it because the product was just bad. And Michaela has done the same thing. And I think Alex Earl is just one of the more authentic influencers that have come out of like this TikTok, social media era.
Right. But it's almost like, where do you draw the line? It's like you have these highly publicized influencers. Where do you draw the line of like, is it real or is it fake? It's almost really hard, even down to their appearance, which this is so terrible because it's almost like anti-feminist. But when Alex Earl posted a picture of her driver's license when she was like probably 17 when she first got it, and then a few years later after she had gotten all this plastic surgery, and she was like, oh my God, overnight my face changed. Like, now you're misleading people. You're not only misleading people about your appearance, now are we supposed to question your judgment on a product? Because, I mean, I know she's been very like open about the things she's had done, But I think if you see that video on your For You page and it's kind of like satire, you have probably some 13-year-old girl being like, what the hell? Like, am I supposed to look like that? Like, when is that going to happen to me? And it's almost like, what are their intentions? And I'm a pessimist when it comes to this stuff, so I just can't side with it at all. But I mean, how do you feel about that? About these girls getting all of these things done and kind of putting it out there like, oh, I just had to glow up. These influencers.
I mean, I think someone like Alex Earl, with being an influencer or not, her family's loaded, so like she's gonna have that done either way. I think her boobs were done before she even became famous, but I also think her being so young and like she's not that much older. What is she, like a year older than us?
Yeah, I think she's
maybe
about 24.
a year or two. She's not that much older than us, and I think like I'll say things. I think it's hard because you say things and some people don't realize the effect of like what they're saying, like how it could have on their audience. So that's what makes it hard with social media. But I think there's a difference between like not realizing the effect it has on your audience and saying it just because you don't care and like you just are like posting a video to make like a quick buck, like you're saying. And also Alex Earl has been really like transparent on social media with even like her acne, and I've seen her videos and I'm like, she's always talking about acne and I can't see it. And then I saw an interview where she was on the red carpet. I think it was something with Braxton for like the NFL or something, and it was a certain angle, and I was like, I see that acne she's talking about. And so many, and that sounds terrible, but so many people were talking about it, and then she made a video saying how like with angles and like filters and the lighting and the kind of makeup or the amount of makeup you have on, like how like all plays into that, and how she's been on like Accutane, I think, and all those things. So I think with that aspect, like she has been transparent, and I think she's also young too, like us. Like I said, if I was famous and I was an influencer, I'd probably get canceled for things in 10 times worse. Just 'cause I'm just like gonna make a funny video and think it's like, oh, like funny to put out there, like people would think it's funny. I might not think the effect that it's gonna have on the people watching me, which I think is something that you have to learn as you do it more. Like Charli D'Amelio, for example, she had a few things in the past when she first became a really big influencer, and I think now that she's like kind of died down and has been doing it for quite some time, longer than Alex Earl, she knows kind of the rights and wrongs for her audience and what's good for them and what's not, and she knows how to like not play it safe. She knows what she should and shouldn't be doing.
Right, but I also think that's all very calculated. Again, you have teams of people trying to make money off of this one person. If they can say to Alex Earl, hey, we know you have acne, we're going to release this picture of you with your acne scars and bad lighting or whatever, and then we're going to have you post a video on how you did it and how it's okay, because now it's sympathetic to that audience. I just think it's all very calculated. I don't think any of it is genuine at all, especially these higher paid people.
I feel like it's hard though, because I see where you're coming from, but we also just like don't know, which is what makes it hard. Even before, I don't remember what the account was that posted it, but even before that, I feel like she's always been pretty like clear and transparent about it. And like, not to say she doesn't use the beauty filter and like she lets it show in all her videos, because she certainly doesn't. Like I said, before I saw that, like I literally thought she had clear skin, and then I saw that video and I was like, oh, like what happened to her skin? But I think it's just like not a tough situation, because that's like a first world problem. Like if we were in their shoes, we would be doing the same thing. Like if we have a team and they're telling us like this and that, I think there's certainly people who have stood on ground in like business and what they believe in, and maybe she hasn't done that or she has done that, but that's what makes it hard, is kind of just because like we don't know. Charli D'Amelio makes $246,000 per video without like PR, without brand deals, without selling a product, just for posting a video. And I think now she's like not really even big anymore, so she just posts things like for fun, like for shits and gigs, and everyone like watches it, and that's the amount she makes.
Yeah,
that's an insane
But like
price.
Whose pocket is that coming out of? Is it TikTok? Is it the viewers when they like it? Like, where is that coming from? How do they do their taxes? That's what I want to know, because how do you even file that, man? Like, you have $300,000 per video when they post 4 videos a day. I don't know. It seems really out of reach for me to think that maybe these people are going to get caught with tax fraud one day, the way like Mike the Situation did back in his Jersey Shore days for not filing taxes. It almost seems too good to be true.
Yeah, I think that, like, honestly, especially with Charlie D'Amelio and how her dad was, like, with the government and stuff, I feel like that's very common and wouldn't really surprise me if that did happen. I don't know. I'm still standing on, if that was me, give me my money. Give me my check. I'll take it. I mean, I'll file my taxes, but give me my check. Like, if the opportunity was right in front of me, let's go at it.
I mean, it's almost like how far would you go?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a tough one, but I just really don't think that like they deserve all of this hype and all this clout, because I really do think they're talentless. I don't think they're making money on their talent. Now, there are a few exceptions. I think Charlie D'Amelio, she's now on a Broadway show.
Yeah, she's a dancer.
She just wanted to dance. Like, go for it, girl. Go right ahead. But now this other girl, Livy Dunn, she's the gymnast at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, is just really out of control. Because especially with the whole NIL deals, the name, image, and likeness, that gets really out of hand. And I think that is really almost not discriminatory, but it's kind of shutting out people who are also bringing in money for their sport. And like, listen, if people are going to an LSU women's gymnastics match to see Livy Dunn because they've had a crush on her on social media, be my guest, go right ahead. But it's almost now, okay, it gets messy because now you have all these people coming to your school, going to LSU to see her, and she's doing all these PR events for the school. Again, where do you draw the line of she's just a student making videos, or no, she's a minor celebrity that goes here and we're going to try and leech money out of her? It's a very fine line, and that's why I think it just altogether should be completely almost abolished. I just don't think that's right.
But then, like, if we didn't have influencers, like, what are we going to do? Like, even if we don't like them, we don't agree with, like, the money they make and all that stuff. Like, you know, we, in our generation, like, we sit on TikTok and just watch these videos, like, for hours on end. The amount of time I spend on TikTok in a week when I get my notification from my phone on, like, Sundays is insane. Yeah. I could spend altogether, it's almost, like, 24 hours on TikTok.
Which is so terrible. I mean, I
yeah.
do it too. We're all victims. But at the same time, it's like, okay, before there were influencers, think of the last time there wasn't an influencer. There were creators. There were people making videos on Vine and YouTube, but you didn't have them getting paid per video to bring people to the platform. Like, when was the last time before an influencer? I didn't hear of an influencer till I was probably 14 or 15. This is only within like the last 10, 12 years that this has become a thing. So it's almost like, why now?
I think people like Livy Dunn, it's also hard because, yeah, she's a gymnast, she's good at it, but content-wise, what is there besides a pretty face? And that's why people watch her. But then, it's like, there are people entertaining it, and that's the people who's basically giving her check. And there's nothing that she can do, say, or, like, be done to change that. I feel like there's people, if your favorite influencer gets canceled, you're still going to watch them. No matter what it is, what it does, and they're still making that income. People are still feeding into their pocket. I think not only with her, but even like cancel culture or like other influencers, there are people who are still going to watch and follow and share, and no one can do anything about that. And now the opportunity's in front of her, and she's going to take it and run with it.
I feel like it's almost like curiosity killed the cat with followers and audiences and stuff.
Yeah.
Because you see something trending, of course you're going to click on it. You're going to stream it, whatever it is. Again, it comes to like, now is TikTok going to be paying her just because she meets that criteria and she's in the same category as Alex Earl or Addison Rae or whoever? Like, I think it's getting really out of control.
I think other influencers, if it's there and the opportunity presented itself and now they're making all of this, even with the PR, do I think they need it? No. Do they deserve it? Maybe they put a lot of hard work in, but they're already getting money for it. But if the opportunity was there and was in front of me, I'm gonna take it, and I'm not gonna turn it down.
Well, there you have it. Giovanna would take the money, and I would be poor.
For our snubbed or dubbed segment, we both picked 3 influencers that we think are snubbed or dubbed, since we disagree so heavily on it, my 3 are dubbed and Sam's 3 are going to be snubbed, and we're just going to give you them and why. So my 3 are Charli D'Amelio, Alex Earl, and Jake Shane. With Charli D'Amelio, I think she actually has a talent. So I could get behind her getting paid almost $300,000 for her video, because a lot of her videos are her dancing too, whether it's like choreograph or just her like freestyling it, whatever she's doing. A lot of her videos, especially now, are like that. I think when it was TikTok era, it was it was more lip syncing and silly TikTok dances, but a lot of her videos now are kind of like choreographed dances and stuff like that. So she can have it. She's good. My second is Alex Earl. I spoke about her a lot, obviously. I'm a huge advocate for Alex Earl. I think she's authentic, even if we can't agree on where the fine line is. I think she's a raw influencer, and that's what makes her so appealing to people our age and in our generation. She's showed things from like her family to her relationship to past things that have to do with herself and her mental health and all of that stuff. So I love her, I think, dubbed. And then the third influencer I picked is Jake Shane. He's low-key a Nepo baby, but he should be a stand-up comedian because he's so funny and his videos will literally just make you laugh even if you're upset. He has a podcast now, and like he had Sophia Richie on it, who's like family friends with him or something. I think he deserves all the clout he gets, and he also became bigger because of people he knew, like Alex Earl. They're super close, and now they do so much together, and a bunch of other people he knows, like Snooki and stuff like that. So those were my 3.
So my 3 influencers that I think are snubbed that do not get enough credit. My first one is Alex James. You may remember him from Vine, ALX James. He was the Waterbugs guy on Vine. He used to like wear funny glasses in the car and then like make skits about it. And now he pretends to be like a Southern mom. And the topics are like, oh, somebody's mom on a girls trip right now. And he has a really thick Southern accent. He has 2.6 million followers, but he only usually gets about 500,000 views per video, which I think is really odd because I see him all over TikTok and Instagram Reels. My second person was Anthony Ricardo. He has 427,000 followers. He's a dancer from Westchester, Pennsylvania. His most viewed video was 3.7 million, and then after that, it dropped off to a few 100,000. Then his latest video just had 3,000. His whole family's dancers, so he sometimes has like his mom or his sister in his videos, and I just think he's so clean with it. I'm not a dancer. I would never claim to be. But he's definitely really, really interesting to watch. And my third was Bonnie McKee. You don't know her name, but you definitely know her songs. She has 212,000 followers. She has written every single famous pop song from like the mid-2000s to 2010s. I'm talking like for Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, Rihanna. Any popular song they've had, she's had a hand in writing it. And she is like the epitome of a ghostwriter because most people don't know who she is. So I think she should get a lot more credit. Thanks for listening to the Take It or Leave It podcast. Make sure you tune in next time and follow us on Instagram at takeit.or.leaveitpodcast.